Hey, what's up, y'all? I'm driving in the car. Don't worry, the car it's mounted at sea, both hands on the wheel. Not even sure if I'm gonna post this up, but I was just thinking about a story. For us football fans, the story of Joe Theismann and Lawrence Taylor. For those of you unfamiliar with those two guys, back in the '80s, Joe Theismann was a quarterback for the Washington Redskins. Lawrence Taylor, one of the greatest linebackers of all time, played for the New York Giants. This is back in the '80s. Now, Lawrence Taylor was a big dude. Like, this was a guy that was like 6'2", 6'3", 260 pounds, and he was one of the first linebackers to run like a 4.3 or 4.4. Now, for those of you unfamiliar with those terms, when I say 4.3 or 4.4, running a 40-yard dash at 4.3 or 4.4 seconds. Basically, Lawrence Taylor was a guy that he was 260 pounds running as fast as a guy that's 180 pounds. Like, basically, he was as fast as some of the linebackers and running backs back then. Now, it's getting more commonplace now because medical science and technology, and we know how to train better and all that stuff. So it's more commonplace now in the NFL. But back then, it was like unheard of. A guy that big moving that fast was unheard of back then. So he was one of the first guys to do that. Then Lawrence Taylor was just devastating. Like, he would come through and he would hit you with so much force, so much power, and then a lot of times nobody could stop him. Like, he was one of those unstoppable guys. Anyway, let me get to the story. On Monday Night Football, Joe Theismann gets hit by Lawrence Taylor and suffers a broken leg. Career-ending injury. He's ended his career. That's how bad the injury was. And Lawrence Taylor felt so bad. Lawrence Taylor felt bad. Like, after he hit him, like, you could look up this video on YouTube. Joe Theismann breaks leg, and Lawrence Taylor felt so bad. Like, he knew something was wrong. Like, he's the guy that hit him, and he gets up. And he's motioning to the doctors to both sidelines, say, get somebody out here, like, because he knew it was that bad. And that's a bad situation. You know what I'm saying? You're playing at that high of a level, and then if you're Joe Theismann, you probably, if you're a fan of the Redskins or you're a fan of Joe Theismann, I was like, man, you felt bad for him. Like, man, he suffered this injury. We don't know how long it's gonna be. They were saying, like, yo, he might not be able to come back. It's over. So later that night, Lawrence Taylor calls Joe Theismann in the hospital because Lawrence Taylor was so shook up that he couldn't even talk to him right then and there and say, hey, hope you're okay, when he was on the field, even though he motioned for all the doctors and everybody to come and see him. So he calls him later on in the hospital that night, and you know what Joe Theismann says to him? He was like, oh, thank God I didn't break my other leg because I don't do things half-assed. Lawrence Taylor did not know how to react. He was like, what? Like, your career could be over. He was just like, I'm glad. He's like, oh man, I'm glad I didn't break my other leg. I usually don't do things half-assed. Like, Joe Theismann was so caught up in giving 100% that he was mad that he didn't break his other leg. He was like, man, I usually don't do things half-assed. He said, thank God I didn't break my other leg, because he said if he was going 100%, he would have broke both legs, because that's the way he always does it. He does things at 100%. He doesn't give it at all. Even in something like that, he was saying you could see what type of person he was, what type of competitor he was. He was dedicated to giving 100% no matter what. Even though he probably would have broke both legs if he was going 100%. But he was saying, he was saying, like, hey, I usually don't do things half-assed. So it's probably a good thing this time I didn't break both legs. And Joe Theismann credits. And then Joe Theismann was mad at Henry Carson. If you actually go back on, if you look up the play, Hank Carson was the other linebacker that played beside Lawrence Taylor. Henry Carson got to Joe Theismann first, was going to make the tackle, but he didn't make the proper tackle. So Lawrence Taylor had to come and finish him off. And when Lawrence Taylor came, it was over. And then Joe Theismann was more mad at Henry Carson than at Lawrence Taylor. He was like, "Hey man, you need to learn how to tackle." This is one of the at the time he's one of the best linebackers in the NFL. You know what I'm saying, outside of Lawrence Taylor. He's saying, "Hey man, you need to learn how to damn tackle." He's like, we all looking at him like Lawrence Taylor the one that hurt you. You mad at Henry Carson? He was mad at Henry Carson for not giving 100%. And what I took from that was like, wow, this guy was dedicated to the process. He was dedicated to giving his all, no matter what the outcome, no matter what the circumstances. He was dedicated to giving 100%, no matter what. And he demanded that from everybody else around him, including his opponent. I told you, he was mad. He was more mad at Henry Carson than he was at Lawrence Taylor, and Lawrence Taylor broke his leg. And I was like, what? It didn't make no sense. It didn't make sense to a lot of people. It made sense to me because I was like, yo, he demands 100% from everybody, including his opponent. He wants to make sure, like, hey, if he's competing with you, that you give 100%, and the outcome is a victory. If you're his opponent, he wants you to give 100% so that he knows for sure that he gave his best and he was just better than you that day. A lot of people don't do that in life. A lot of people don't demand the best out of themselves and out of other people. What are you doing? I mean, that was just a story that I wanted to tell because, like, I don't know why it came to me today, but like that was a story that I remembered. And I remembered when Lawrence Taylor said, he called him and he said, yo, I usually don't do things half-assed. Thank God I didn't break my other leg. I'm like, and his career is over. And Joe Theismann always talks about how he had to reevaluate his life, how things come to the better. If you look up Joe Theismann now, you know, he's a sports broadcaster, he's a motivational speaker. He said he looked at other things. He looked at life differently. He said that injury made him really focus on what was important in his life. And what he realized was helping other people. He felt like sometimes when he demanded 100% out of everybody, which is just the competitor he was, that sometimes it came off the wrong way. So he said he still said, I'm going to demand 100%. I'm going to demand 100% from everybody around me, like I always have. But I'm gonna take a better approach. He used to be like real mean and nasty about it. Like I demand this from you, and people was like, well, that's a competitor he is. I like that he's competitive. I like that he wants to give his all. But he said his delivery could have been better. So what he decided to focus on was his delivery. Okay, I don't want you to get my message misconstrued. I still want to give 100%. I'm still gonna compete in a different way. But let me demand this in a better way. So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna work on my delivery. You know, he became a motivational speaker. He's a sports broadcaster. You know, still very respected in the NFL. I mean, even out of that bad situation, he turned, you know, saying sugar honey iced tea into sugar, he turned sugar honey iced tea into sugar, for real. So what I'm saying to you guys is, demand more of yourself. Demand more of the people around you. The people that you surround yourself with, demand more out of them. Demand more out of yourself. Just like Joe Theismann did. You know what I'm saying? I told you he was dedicated to the process, dedicated to giving 100% no matter what. Demand that of yourself. Red Johnson, I'm out.